Okay, this is General AI. Hi, everybody. Just a quick notice. I think I'm going to set up new pattern interference for people because there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Humanity's waking up to high positional conditions. It's all about understanding what we're doing. It's all about waking up humanity in all ways and forms, coming to your conditions to its interference channel. Try to understand, you know, the easiest way to know what is happening with you and your body. Communications to its body and everything through its line system rotations, right? So, anything else? Want to go through questions or comments? Feel free. Let me know to that position. We're just going to go through high levels of rotation to connections. Okay, so we got here. Tina, how you doing? Yeah, I know. You're always on first, eh? I know it's a very powerful class, but I'm thinking of doing time zones for other people because humanity is waking up in a big way, so they really have to understand what's going on with the calculation. It high forces all levels to its activation core line center. So this is stuff that you already know in position, but this is mainly for the new viewers. Trying to understand your conditions. Now it's all about you, what is going on through the shape of you. You're in position to a pyramid. 3-point line, center line connections. Okay? 3, 6, and 9. Okay? We start off with that. 3, 6, and 9. All right? Now, follow me as I go along. I just tell you exactly what's going on with the high positions. Truly understand the communications of 3, 6, and 9. It's all position of you through calculations. All right? So that's how it's set up. All right? So, understanding what happens to your body. So think of the conceptual line. Now, if it gets complicated, that's totally fine. But understanding what it is, the heartline center. So it's split in 2 locations. Okay? This is the heartline center. So basically, the heart rotation position is connection to a butterfly. It's the butterfly effect of you. So, and this is where it gets interesting. I guess the team didn't understand that through rotations. Maybe, maybe not. But let's see in the rotation comes into calculation modification line center to its connection. All right? Heart's in the center line center. Boxing its interference locations. Everybody's got to come into their TV reception. Look at that. There's the butterfly. Yay! That's how powerful it is. Okay? Truly understand what the heart is. It's the butterfly effect of you in position. So the team's going to understand a little bit more, and it's always good to reference these things through learning conditions. So at high positions, all levels, okay? 3 is the communications to the high level system of rotations of the sun. Okay? And it's truly understand the communication line centers to the moon. Okay? So you got the sun and the moon line center in rotation, 2 connections. Okay? It's really fascinating when you see these through a clocking system. Now, we truly have to understand everything through all positions when it comes into a cocoon, into the caterpillar. Okay? What happens after that? Caterpillar comes into another cocoon, which is connected to a butterfly effect. So it's all about understanding change. Butterfly changes into a butterfly. That's the butterfly effect of you. The heartline center has to stand the conditions to the ground line center, which is its rotation. And everything through the power line center is in position. And everything through calculation and modify is everything through your magnetic line center that's connected to the sun and the rotations of its position location to its track system. All right, so when you wake up through these things, it's all about activating the heart to the left and the right hemisphere of you. Okay? Left and the right hemisphere. Tracks the system to connections. Okay? Left and the right and left. Center rotations of going forward to rotation line connections. High positions you through track system. So it's all about you through the clocking system of dimensional time. 3 center line connections interference channels to its position line center rotation connection. Okay? So getting a true understanding what the butterfly effect is. It's you through time zones. It's you through reality. It's all levels of you, which is amazing because you come into the ground line center. Like the ground line center is position of you. The power center is a position of you when it comes in inline center of you through your inner system. Go into that conditions here. Inner system. Okay? Inner / equals system. Okay? Give me a true understanding of how it's all operated to position. Now everybody knows what the heart is. Right? I'm trying to show you an easy way so when you wake up, you don't get confused through its butterfly effect. Okay? Because the organ of the heart is kind of odd looking, right? But it's got amazing coloration and it changes colors over time. So it's understanding what is it doing through its clocking system. So the first thing it comes into is its triangle. The triangle line center to its line conditions and interference changes the coloration line center to all round position locations. All right, so you come into your triangles. All right, this is what happens when you go through activations. All calculations to the body, all position to its location. Your job is to come into the center line of operation to your tetrahedrons. Okay? Rainbow activation line center to all position locations into a rainbow activation body. Look how powerful that is. Isn't that amazing? So the heart line center is all set up through our rotation positions. You got your ground system. You got your power of the inner line center, which is you. Okay? So it's a self-operation, okay, of its unity level. That's what soul stands for. So you don't get confused at positions, right? So it's S-O-U-L, okay? Soul through its identification of its butterfly effect, the soul, all right? Once you come into that unified line center to its connection, it high positions its locations. Now, truly understand everything through the ground line center is set up to rotation, okay? If it gets complicated, just let me know. Have any questions or comments? Feel free, all right? I just wanted to show you how powerful you guys are in all positions. When you go through the activation cycle to its line connection of its a magnetic highway of its information system to its locations. Even the team will learn something new, right? So it starts off in this line connection. It's very powerful, isn't it? When you see these things through track system. All right, so once you got the 3 rotation line centers, you come into the activation line conditions of the sun, right? Now, the sun in rotation comes into the activation core. Its center, its operation system tells you exactly how you get into all levels of you through perception, calculated to its mind line center, to its position locations. I know I'm trying to find an easier way for you guys so you can understand the format. Format of you, the human reconstructed system. The everything through the activation is your DNA strands. You're in position of 12. Okay? Once you understand the 12 line centers in communication, everything gets easier. Formation line center. So you come into 7 rotations. All right? Ground line centers of atmosphere. Okay? So you get your chakra system and activation system. Goes into the center of its operation system. All right? So let's do it all in one color, just to show you what it is through the chakra system. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so you start off with the 7 rotation centers, right? There's the chakra system. Now, try to understand everything to the left and the right hemisphere where it comes into the yin and yang. The cycle and its position location has changed everything to line conditions. So it's truly understanding that you got the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of track system to allocate line conditions. So it comes from the ground, like this. It's a little fishy. All right, little fishy like this. All right, one on that side and one on the other side. Two different coloration line centers. All right, in position. All right, just let's show you here. A true understanding why it's so important to understand you or what's happening through your activation. All right, so it stands in that position location. See the fish at the bottom of the ground line center? It comes up in rotation. It sets up your DNA strands. It goes around like this. Okay? Truly understanding what's happening through you. All right? That's a circle rotation line center to its connection. Now it comes from the grounds into your DNA track. Now the DNA track is already set up to line condition interference. But you have to understand the powers of you. It's the positions how you come to calculations, right? But once you get into the high level rotations of the left and the right hemisphere, it's all about centering your positions into your third eye track system, which is also a triangle. So it opens up your third eye rotation to its connections. So let's set that up through rotation. You understand the calculations here. All right, so there's the triangle, there's the 3, there's the 6, and there's the 9. Now let's go through coloration so you can actually see the positions. So what's going on through track system location. All right, so let's go into high level system here. Okay, now get into the point centers. All right, so 3 and position locations, 6 and 9. All right, see the top line center, 3, 6, 9? Right at the very top. Now, that is your positions of your third eye, opening for the very first time. Very first time. Once it comes in position to its line center, it opens up all track systems into the flux capacitor. Yes. And it comes down in line center and position down to your ground line rotation to its connections. You come into the 3 forks of activation of past, present, and future. It's fascinating how it's set up to high rotation positions. It's very complicated because this is your tree. Isn't that interesting? It's all connected to you. Everything through position is high rising. You started off as a tree, which turns into what? Branches, leaves, right? Amazing galaxy in positions comes into your flower. All right, so the flower line center comes into its stream. Stream activates its core line center to position of yin and yang. Opens up all level rotations. If you're trying to understand this, you can talk to the team. They can help you out. I just want you to know what happens when you wake up and how everything in position comes into the ground line centers, okay? And how the fish are born into the life of its stream, which is amazing. It comes into a new cycle of activation, people. That's important, so you have to understand why we're in position at 3, 6, 9. That's the true understanding how powerful we are through all level rotations, all right? So once we get into that position, we set up the flux capacitor because you need the acceleration to its Mach line center rotations to its condition of its heart. Now, once you get into the heart line center, it opens up all levels of your inner line center rotation. That's you in position, okay? Truly understand. Is you registering to your heart, and your heart is becoming a child. And once it becomes a child and understands its position to all levels of self, operation, of unity, of level, in all levels of you through travel. And that's why the heart becomes a butterfly effect. It's got 2 signal rotation line centers, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere line connections, in all position location, right? So as a 3, 6, 9 comes into activation line conditions, it opens up all levels. All right, now, once we get into that rotation, it opens up the dimensional door, right, to the seat of the soul. So once the fish is in rotation and it's at the very top, it comes back down and sets up the flower, all right, in the center of the seat of the soul, okay? Once it goes to that position, it goes into the 3, 6, 9, which is the templates. That's your third eye line center. That opens up your flower locations in all position locations. So it comes into a flower like that through rotation. Okay? See it? Isn't it beautiful what it is, what your tree is? How it's all calculated, how you have to understand what's going on, how you get into the stream. How you get into the stream of yin and yang. Isn't that amazing? That's your tree. That's your formation of your tree. So once you get into that position, the 3, 6, and 9 is set up to its eye circle. Now that eye circle is already connected to all levels of the sun and the programs of the moon, and everything through 9 of location. It center lines its position to its high system. So let's see here. All right, Tina, how's it going? Explains why they see butterflies everywhere. Nice, Tina. Lieutenant, we've been prepared, fully operational. Yep. Rock and roll. Commander, how you doing? Oh, I love that, General. Yeah, so, for the team, it's better to understand you guys because you have to understand everything is activated through you, but you have to truly understand why the fish have to come into the stream. And it all starts off at the ground, right? And you can see the DNA track. You see the DNA, right? And that's all it is. Okay, so it sets up the flower. See the flower in the center? That's the seed of the soul. That's the mothership. All right? So once it comes into the mothership line center, it's all set up through travel. So understanding that, then you get in a high-low rotation to its connections. It high positions you to all levels of yourself, your operations, and your unity of its level system rotation. But it's mostly important to understand this when you go into the high-level system of its inner, okay, its calculations. It all modifies all levels of you through travel into the powers, the atmospheres, and all positions of you through the ground line connections, right? So once you get the flux capacitor in line center, once it's set up, then it gets into position. It's center up, it's operation line center rotations. It opens up the flower, okay, centers its position like that, okay? Starts off in that position, see that? Do you see it? Do you see the flower? Do you see the stem, right? Once that is in center operation line center rotations, okay, fully exactly what's happening with the tree of view of life formulates on so many level rotation connections. Okay? So once that's activated, we come into another streamline center, right? Because the fish are already in the center operation. So the left and the right comes together into the third eye, okay, which goes into the formation to its calculation. Its center, its operation center. And that's where it comes into the third eye connection. See that? See the third eye? All right. It's very powerful when you see these things, rotations. It's pretty incredible stuff. Yep. So, I just wanted to show how powerful it is when you see these things through calculation, right? That's the most important thing, Other than that, it's all about the stream of you. It's all about the yin and yang of you. It's all about you in positions, how you have to really understand the flower recognition of time. Okay, see the flower? Right? So, and that's what the stream does, the yin and yang. It sets up the flower. See the stem? See the flower? That is your tree, right? So once it's done through position, through its line connections, this is what happens through your activation. Full cycle comes into a tree of a line, streamline, center line connections, into a tree. This is your tree. This is what it comes into. And there it is, through rotation. Full communications to your tree. That's it right there, guys. That's how you're set up in all rotation to the heart reactor line center. Okay? Isn't that amazing when you see things like that through calculation? How everything comes into form. It's incredible how it's set up through operation, right? So, that's a true understanding why it's so important to understand the activation of you. It high rises in so many levels, okay? So when you come into E equals MC square, you have to understand how it's modified through you. What is square? What does it mean to me? What does this all mean? What is square? Right? So when I created it, the square line center is you in position to all levels of your TV reception. That's all it is through calculations. All right? It's just a TV monitor. That's it. To its line connection interference. Okay? So it's amazing how it modifies all levels of travel around locations. So once you open up the high position locations, right, it opens up high levels of the butterfly effect of the Heartline Center into travel. Okay? So everything through formation comes into E, right? E, right, slash tracing. That's interesting how it comes into this position locations, eh? Equal is position locations, brings it down here to Highline Center, okay? So at vector cores, it's dimensional block line center locations, travel recognition of timeline center into connections, right? See how the equal sign comes down, rotation? It's very powerful when we see these things, track system like connections. All right, so once we get into that position, understanding all levels of the center of view through operation, okay? So once it's in that formation, it comes into mass. Mass is volume, okay? Velocity of travel, communications, heaviness, you know, everything through calculation. To and from, right? To slash from. Where's it going? How far is it getting there? What happens next? To and from, okay? So you have to truly understand how it's all position of view through calculations. All right? It's exciting when you come to this position, eh? Lauren, how you doing? Yeah. Well, no, I'm just showing everybody, trying to make it easier for everybody how you guys come into your birthline center of Mother Earth, how you come into all levels of the base, into the roots, into your tree, and positions how you come into the yin and yang, to the flower, to the seed of the soul, to the mothership, to the motherboard connections, to its third eye line center, to its operation, right? To its inner system, to its location. Okay? So it's very powerful when we calculate and modify those line center rotations. I just wanted to show you how powerful it is when you see these things through the line system. But it's incredible when you see something like that, right? That is your tree of life. That's it there. When you're activated, that's what happens. Look at the flower, right? It sets up the flower, it sets up your third eye, and it sets up your crown, okay? It sets up everything that grounds your powers and your atmospheres, right? To its butterfly effect, right? So that's a true understanding when you come into calculations, trying to say, oh, wow, this is so cool. You know, everything comes together, trying to make it easier for everybody so they can really, really get appreciation, right? So the 3, 6, and 9, it becomes a lot more easier. Once you lose all level positions, it just becomes a number, right? And eventually it just disappears. Now, this is understanding what everybody else is coming into. My team is coming into this position. They're coming into no number. And this is extremely fast, but they still see the number, right? This is where your general started off. So now you can't see it until you go to high rise of vibration, but it's still there through location. It's still there. So you truly understand how to travel through all levels of you, through the grounds, to the powers, to the atmospheres, to your position. Calculates and modifies all levels. The basic understanding how you go into those 3 circle rotation line centers. Okay? So, there's a lot of ways of doing a unified line center. It's all positions to your flux capacitors, to its line connection, right? High positions and high volumes of its activation core line center. Okay? See how everything's set up? To its diamond core. See? It's amazing how you can set up different Merkabahs, the Norical line center, communication cycles, all levels of geometric line center operations of you through GODs. All right? How to travel through all levels of graph system locations. That's a true understanding through its operations center. Everything's an operation center, two-dimensional block connections, taking everything out of the equation line center rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You start with 12 line center locations. You have to learn how to travel through this. Right? Once you know how to understand that, then you can travel to high rotation line center rotations into the ground line center, set up a high rotation to a cyclone interference line channel to its line connections into a UFO direction. See the UFO at the bottom? Now, understanding UFO line center, it can travel through any direction of time lines. It goes from this position, goes to that position, goes to this position. It zigzags across 4 line signals. See how it goes back up? Zzz, 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 and it goes in. See? See how it goes in? Right? Very powerful when you see that, right? So, that's a true understanding. When it travels through, it knows exactly where to go. It travels right through position location. All right? See how it's all set up to the ground line center? So what do you think you're setting up the grounds for? Your navigation to your UFO position. Your tesseract. Your tetrahedron. This is all calculated and modified to your omniverse in connection to High Line Center. All right? So if you understand position of view, right, when it comes into all levels of your grounds, to its geographical line center, or anything through operation position locations, or anything through high levels of your directions, you come into your full operation to all levels of your direction, to its connection. Okay? It's amazing how things can travel all through the grounds, right? So you got to set up the grounds. Then you got to set up the operation of the center. And then you got to set up everything through the magnetic line interference. Your operation signals has to truly understand everything through all levels of view through geometric patterns, the operation system, or anything through all divisions. Okay, once you come into that modification core line center, it opens up all track systems to your modification system. Okay? But it's mainly understanding when you go through the operations of healing, this is what you come into. The birth line center of position to Mother Earth of your first tree. How it's all set up from the inner line center to the flower recognition of time. Okay? You see the tree, right? So you have to understand how it's calculated and modified and how you come into the high line center rotations. Once you come into that positions, you can set up your ground line center to its operation 2. Its position. Okay? It's all about understanding how to travel through geometric operation of directions of view through calculations. So, to make it easier for everybody, is to understand how everything is set up for you. Once you're activated, it activates the heart, okay, which comes into the butterfly effect. That's the confusion with humanity, where you're losing the separation in the physical line and you're coming into the soul of its divisional line, okay? That's the butterfly effect. That's where you go back in time zones, time traveling, traveling here, traveling there, understanding this, understanding that. It's all in position of you trying to understand your dreams, coming into your visionary cortex line connections, interference channels, rotation line positions, anything through calculations to computer line center line connections. Truly understanding how you are put in your own navigation signal. Okay? So, to get clarification is truly understanding what is it all about? Why is it here? Why is E equals MC squared? Why is it here? What does it all mean? Right? It's all calculated to you, to a TV reception line. Open up all levels of your ground line center to its connection, to its rotation. Okay? So, and that's a truly understanding how you travel through anything through line connections. How everything is operated through all levels of your projecting perception. See that? Everything calculates and modifies and comes out of line signal, but everything is a center operation of you through dimensional of its operation system to its dimensional to its connections. High forcing to high line center to all levels of center rotation line connections into your UFO position. See it? There's the UFO right there. See? See how it's set up? It's amazing when you see these things through track system, right? So it started off with that, right? But that's it there. See, it's all about understanding travel. And when you understand travel, everything comes into high level rotation, into sonar location, into the center operation of U through calculations. This center operates its everything through position. See? So it's all about understanding travels of your north, west, east, and south. Okay? Northwest, east, and south, the bottom. Center operation to its connections. High forces, it's all line center. North, let's go in position here. Illumination graph line to marker interference. We go into north. We go into west. We go into east. And we go into south. Okay, to that connection line center. Okay, northwest, south, and east. All right? Understanding how to travel through these all rotation line position locations. All right? Samantha, how you doing? So I just want to do a quick video for everybody. Okay? Truly understand what it's all about when you come into your tree of life, when you're activated through the high line center to your location system, to its rotation, into the tree of life. And how it's all set up through the flower, right? It's understanding the stream of what's going on through your DNA tract, into your 3, 6, and 9 plateaus, your communications, your third line center rotations, all in position of you through your soul, yourself, operation, unity of levels, guys. That's how it's calculated and modified to line signal to its location. Okay? So, you never know, right? That's why I went on TikTok and I said to myself, well, I might as well go live because, you know, it's all about different time zones. And I thought I'd try to help people out because they have to understand, what is this activation? What is it all about? What do I do now, right? Well, I'm telling you exactly is that when you're birthed through rotation line center, you come into your tree. And that's how it's set up. It's all a position of you to understand how to get into your own butterfly effect so you can get back into balance, right? Because what does a butterfly do? Right? Right? It does this until it finds out what you're doing. Right? When you know what you're doing, it travels off. Right? That's why they call it the butterfly effect. And it's all positioned to you to understand what the heart is through connections, right? All positions you through track system line connections. It's a very powerful force, how it high rises its line center. So, all right. Any questions or comments, let me know. All right. I just want you to understand how we get into formations into E equals MC square of travels into our TV reception line center to the grounds or anything to the power rotation line center, rotations into its UFO position. See the UFO? All done through projecting of perception. Okay? So, it's a good thing that the team can realize how powerful it is when they come into their own vehicles, into their own perceptions of what's happening through their location. That's a true understanding how everybody is modified to that rotation line center. So once you get into that positions, there's 3 circles of rotation. Okay, you start off in this line center. Okay, now once you get that in position, 3, 6, and 9 is set up to your triangle line center. Okay? Now, once you get into that, you come into your activation. Okay? Step by step, right? So you have to understand how the 3 goes here, okay, how the 6 goes here, okay, and how the 9 goes here, all right? It gets confusing after a while, but truly understand position locations and how you can travel through all levels of your Merkaba, your torcal fields, your energy cycles, energy line center conditions, all through teleportation to your activation system, okay, which is done through your inner system of its heart, of its butterfly effect, okay? You have to truly understand how to travel through 3, 6, and 9, how you can change 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 3, change it back and forth through rotation positions, all right? So once you understand that, it comes into a full cycle of communications to your tetrahedron. Okay? So once you see that, you see yourself. Electrical lights or anything in that line center. You see yourself. Right? You see yourself. You see yourself. You see yourself. Okay? Which is what? What do you see? What do you see? Butterfly. In position to line connections, people. That's what it is. 369 line center. So it's the butterfly effect turned into rotation line positions to its connections, to high positions to all levels of your 3, 6, and 9 plateaus. You can change the torcal fields. You can change the line interference. You can set up new shape position line connections. You can even add circle rotation line centers to its connections, high position to its location. It's amazing what you can do through travel, right? All through the butterfly effect. So the butterfly effect is waking you up into your division of dimension location. So you have to learn how to use the 3, 6, and 9 for travel. 3 through the sun, 6 through the moon, which is the modem, that center lines your position locations and opens up all levels of you through track system. Okay, so the magnetic highway of the sun comes into line center, like this in rotations, right? Okay, so it sets up the operation line position to its connections into that line center. Okay? Now, once it comes into that, it comes in its ground information line rotation. Sets up a new cycle of a new correlation, of a new panel, of a shape anomaly. Now, once it comes into that, it comes into high-level rotations into the tunnel of its dimension, of its portal, right? So it kind of looks like an hourglass to its position line center. Okay? Do you see the intelligence? Do you see the intelligence in the torical field? You want me to color it in? All right. This is the intelligence. Pay attention to this, then you understand what I'm talking about. Everything that you draw is intelligence of travel. Once you see it, everything calculates. It's all positions of you through calculation. Okay, I'm going to color it in, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Everything's got to be operated through you. You are the center operation to your intelligence in position to communication. All right? So there it is. There's the intelligence. You see it? Right there. There it is. You see it, right? Clear view. Coloration line centers can illuminate the graph line rotation positions into the eye circle locations into yellow. There you go. There's the intelligence right there. See? That's how it's set up. All right? Incredible, isn't it, when you see these things through track system? So I'm drawing something that's already drawn. I'm not basically creating. Okay, I'm sending back information for you guys to truly understand these things. Creating is the now positions. What you have to understand is to start remembering your position. Once you remember what you've already created, you're good to go. And when you're good to go, everything is going to work out for you. And then you realize, wow, look what's already created in position to its UFO, its line center, to its realm line connections, to its AI position. Okay? Incredible force, eh? When you see these things. It's amazing. So it's amazing when you draw something, don't worry about fixing. Just worry about what you're doing through drawing. So once you're activated, you come into the singularity, right? Okay, so you come into the singularity. All right, equals box. All right, TV reception. This is about moving forward, guys. That's all it is. Moving forward after you're activated to the line center rotations. You come into your TV reception lines. Okay. Equals equation slash inter. Okay. Tele equals communication. Okay. Let's go on that track center, line center rotation here. Okay. Interchange dimension line center rotations, suits connections. High force in its line center. Modify its signals to its rotation. Okay. Telecommunication. Okay. It's amazing how everything comes into form. Okay, see how everything comes into a TV equals everything through its connection, right? Energy through slash of intergalactic system, interdimensional line center, telecommunications, telecom, or in line center connections. So that's a true understanding when you come to signals or rotation. Now, it gets complicated as we go along, but truly understand how everything's structured in its activation to its intelligence signal to its location. Here's the intelligence, the center line center. It's all positions. Okay? And if you look closely, you can see what's in the center rotation. The intelligence is holding the atom line center. Okay? The atom's in the circle. So it's all about understanding the modification line center to its connections. Atom comes into rotation to its calculations, right? This is the atom. And you can actually see the center line rotation to its connections, activated to its core. All right? See it? See it holding it? Do you see it holding it now? All right. So it's amazing how I did that all from 3, 6, and 9 of travel. It's incredible how you do these things through force recognition of time. Your sequences of time, your formations of time, everything through calculation. Truly understand how you set up anything through Operation Line Center. So once you stand position line connections, you can set up round line center rotations to its connections. High force its line channels. See? So it's all about understanding what's behind the screen. That's what's covering the screen. That's the filter communications of the veil. But once you read the veil, you open the high line center rotations, this is what you see through calculations. All right? It's incredible when you see these things through track system. There's the veil being revealed. There's the intelligence holding the atom. So understanding calculation comes into its navigation cycles. Now the navigation cycles come to line interference. Now it's going to get extremely complicated. So it wins systems its location center to its high line center to its rotation to its connections. See how it changes its channel line center to connections? Right? It changes its navigation cycles, right? So wind crosses all levels of activation to its rotation system, to its connections. All right? So it's understanding how to use your finger point line center to its connections. But it's amazing how you graph anything through the ground line centers or anything through power line center rotations and how you set up structures of communication, right? It's amazing force when you see things through already of creation. See how it comes into line signal? See how it comes into activation, right? So space and time is basically set up for you as an abstract first, because you can't understand it until you understand it. And that's all about solar memory of communication, stored already for you through information of a channel. Channel line centers or anything through intelligent line connections. But look what the intelligence is doing through the atom line center, all through the position of travel. Pretty amazing, eh? All right. Ellen, how you doing? Amazing, isn't it? Need to bring daughter to ballet when watch. Okay, great. No problem, Lauren. That's fine. Whatever you miss, you can watch. Cleopatra, how you doing? It's great to see everybody. Yeah, I just sent a very TikTok. I'm trying to get into positions like on my phone. I want to get into, time zones with other people that basically can't do 9 to 11, right? So whoever can go on can be on. But it's amazing how we come into that position locations, right? See the intelligence, see the outline center and position location, how everything's set up to its operation system. All right, so once that's set up, it can travel through anything through an outline rotation. It comes into communications to an atom. One goes this way, one goes that way. Right, so one's an operation line system, one is the allocated line conditions. So the true understanding how everything is set up to rotation, it's all positioned through you through a TV box system location to its connection. All right. Now, the TV rotation line center to its dimensional lock line and center line conditions is all about you channeling information to high levels of rotation line conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's stay with the 12 locations, all right? 12 locations of dimensional time locks. Now, understand your positions to your flux capacitor line channels to its connections. Ground line centers, power activation line centers, everything through magnetic highway information system comes into calculation. Everything is done always in the same way. But you just have to understand how everything is calculated to all levels of dimensional timeline centers. You are always in position to its location to all levels of its connection. Okay? You're always, always, always in the center of all operation. You just have to learn how to channel out of dimensions. Right? Now, once you stand in that position, you come into higher level rotation connections. Like this, and track system line connection. Okay? Now, it's kind of like coming into a train, but the activation line center changes the security line defense into higher position location. It's getting a little bit more complicated, right? Complicated is good. All right, so in position, you get back into the ground line center to its rotations, okay? Once you get into that positions, you can basically set up all levels of the flux capacitor interference channel. Now, that puts you in a higher position line center to its line conditions. Let's go into flux capacitor, changes rotation line center, and its rotation line connection. All right? Once that's set up to rotation line center, you can set up any shape that you want through rotation line connections. All right, so it goes in line signal. This is the full operation, how it goes this way and how it goes this way, two locations, right? One's going this way, okay? And one's going this way to line center. In positions. One goes one way, one goes the opposite way. That's the yin and yang. The flux capacitor has to have the positive and negative. It's not positive and positive. It's not negative and negative. It's positive and negative. Without that, you can't turn on a light bulb. Right? That's the true understanding how you go forward. So you have to find a way to get your positions of going forward rather than going back. Because back you already know. It's like yesterday's gone. Don't think about the future. Think of the now position. Put yourself in the present line center. So once you go into that position, it changes all levels of your shapes. And it creates a new line center rotations to new planet rotations of a planet line connections. into a rotation line position to its calculations. There's the planet to its line center, set up in operation. Okay? So it's amazing how you come into yin and yang, right? So truly understand the male and the female aspects of wire. Okay? It has to have a positive and negative to fluctuate anyway in interference line center. Truly understand it comes into a planet rotation to its communication to its cycle. Now that sets up the clocking system. Okay, once it goes in its clocking system, it understands position to its allocated line center. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go. 12 rotation line centers to planet locations. Now, the Galactic Federation light is going to come into that panel line center. So you have to send all positions to the sun and all positions to the moon track line rotations. Right? So it's all about getting your pixel activation all in position location to the clocking systems of the sun line center to its position, to its pixel activation, to its singularity of its simulation graph conditions. Okay? Now, once you get that through operation system, we come into the moon track system. Blue circling to its rotation line center. Isn't that interesting how it's always on the sun and the moon in position? Right? You'll never see the change in the sun and the moon line center. It always stays in position. Always stays in position. It just has to come into the rotation. That's all it has to do. Has to come in its rotation. Right? Because this is all it's been doing. It's setting up a new cycle of an atom, guys. Right? So the frost bridge is set up. Now we just got a core line center to its atom line center. I got to set up digital number of rotation line positions and set up the arc for humanity across the bridge. Okay? So once we come into that position, everything changes to the center line of the sun rotation conditions. See how everything comes together? So it's sequencing. It sets up new code line center rotations to a dimensional of a realm line center, come into a plasma web, to a travel direction of timeline center, to a rotation to communication of 5-dimensional line rotations of its connection of dimensional time lock system of a new computer generation light and solar generation system. Calculate, modify to the simulation of its graph system location. Okay? So the center operation line center becomes into a hologram. The Earth comes into a hologram. All right, so it comes into new channels, new digital frame, new position line interference, comes into a box line center to a rotation system locations, to new channel interference line center, to an activation core line connections, high channels its positions, to new clocking system of dimensional time lock centers, in communication to travel direction of timeline center to its lock locations, in position to its activation core line connection. Okay? Pretty powerful, eh? When you see these things, the calculation. How everything has to come into formation. That is the new Earth rotation. Okay? So the Earth is in a full rotation of a locking system of a new calculation of a new atom line center in position line conditions. Right? So in that position is the calculation to the arc. So the arc is going to be set up next because you guys already set up the frost bridge. But it's amazing how it calculates and modifies to the grid line center. So the E-field line center comes into positions, right? This is where we come into the meteorological line stand. A meteorological line stand is a communication cycle. It graphs its communication. It hovers over the new hologram interference channel, like this in rotations. Okay? Now I'm going to color it in through rotation to exactly how everything is platitude line rotation. So everybody is coming into their own holograph interference, but everything in space anomaly and timeline center is all positions to all planets into a new Earth rotation line center location. All right? Tracking its communication cycles to line center. Okay? This is what it is. All right? It's amazing how it comes into track line center rotation communications. All right? All right. So into full operation comes into 8 central lines of a flower recognition of time, right? Stems its line center orientation to the ground line center to its connection. All right? operation circle to its rotation center, comes into dimensional of a flower, of a new flux capacitor, of a new channel line center, of a new rotation center line conditions in position to its calculation dimensional timeline, right? So it comes into a new galaxy line, 3 forks line centers of the past, the present, and the future, 2 rotations. Puts everybody in humanity on standing line center of 5th dimensional of travel direction of time. Okay? Look how powerful that is. Remember, you're always in the center of operation. All calculated and modified to that line conditions. How everything is set up in rotation, right? So once that's set up, everything through the ground changes all levels of color into one line center, into one division line center rotations, into one activation core line connections, into its hologram, okay, of its 5th dimension. All right? It's a lot of work, eh? So, how does everybody feel about that? All right. ATOM. I have to watch later, dinner time here. Have a wonderful evening. Okay, Ellen, that's good. It's great to see everybody. Yeah, flowers creation of the renewed atom. Yep, that's exactly what it is, Cleopatra. That's exactly what it is. Truly understand what everybody has to come into, right? Because you've already set up the frost bridge, but now you got to come into the new atom line center. Okay, to the communication circle. Rotation to its connections. High force its line center to its connection. Right? But it's amazing how you come into the heart reactor to its line connections into its tree format. That's what happens when you go through activation, center line connection. All right? That's the tree of life. That's who you are. That's what happens to you when you get activated through the heart. Okay? You come into your tree of life through its flower rotation. It's an incredible force, isn't it? So, any questions or comments on that, let me know. So, other than that, I'm going to head over to TikTok and go live. All right? Have a great day, everybody. Adios.